A new interview with the game director for Guild Wars 2, Grouch, is just out, talking about the blog post that we got yesterday and also the differences between Secrecy of the Obscure and the new expansion being announced next week. So let's see what this says. Subscribe to the channel for more of this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support me, and let's get into it. So we have the whole interview right here. I'll leave the the link in the description so you guys can see it, but I'm just gonna read it and I'll talk about a little bit of what they're saying. Guild Wars 2's first foray into an annual expansion cadence has wrapped up with a recent Secrecy Obscure update. It's a major departure from the traditional Mayor expansion the studio has been known for and excelled at, with the 2022's End of Dragons expansion being all around excellent. Yesterday, Guild Wars 2 game director Josh Davis recently reflected on this on a games blog. But we had a chance to ask him a few questions about the lessons the studio learned during this process, as well as what the plan looks like for future expansions. Doesn't they're gonna talk about, well, the whole blog post, what they said there, maybe get more information on exactly what they meant, and maybe some examples as well, and how they want to change things, and of course the next expansion. What were some of the major takeaways for the team after their first year of smaller expansions content drops? How has it affected the way you approach Guild Wars 2's development for moving forward? And here Crowd says, we have learned a tremendous amount over the past year. A recent retrospective blog post focuses on high-level aspects that players care about, like story, map, design, and features. But internally, we've made adjustments across every facet of our production pipeline. This ranges from the seemingly trivial, like how we track and manage work in Jira, a project management tool and bane of game developers, to more complex issues like how we communicate and meaningfully collaborate in a hybrid working environment with team members distributed around the globe. Fans might wonder why a seasoned team like ours still has lessons to learn, but the truth is, continuous improvement is vital for even the most productive and efficient teams. I'd be very concerned if we shipped an update and felt that we had nothing to learn from it. That's actually a very, very nice thing to say, I think. Like, at the end of the day, yes, the game has been here for a long time, but, hey, the game director just came in here in, I think it was 2020. And, just the change from expansions that were every, 2 years or more, they were very, very big, from having, a continuous stream of content every year, I think is a big change. So I do think it's obvious that you're not gonna have everything done like this instantly, right? Like, you are gonna get some problems fixed in terms of how you develop the content, how you organize the content, and how you organize the team members as well. So I'm happy that they are saying that, hey, we're continuously doing this better. And apparently they have learned from Soto as well, which is hopefully one sign that the next expansion will be better in terms of quality and quantity. To touch on something that wasn't mentioned in the blog, one area we're really happy with the communication and transparency regarding the changes to our content model. Not just the why behind them, but also the what. Before Soto launched last year, we shared a detailed roadmap of the entire expansion, breaking down by release. Game development is notoriously unpredictable, so committing publicly to a detailed roadmap that far out was stressful, to say the least. Even if it was the right thing to do. And I think it was. I think, even though we didn't have as much, content in this expansion, knowing what everything was coming and everything, what I think was very cool. And it is actually interesting to me that a lot of the content we gotten wasn't in that roadmap. Yeah, sure, the big things were, but there's a lot of more things that we definitely got that, I didn't expect to get, a lot of quality of life stuff, even something like Convergence as CM, right? Like that, those were not in the roadmap, and they just came up and did it anyways. And I think that's, because we talk about all the time about it kind of sucks that, we know exactly what we're gonna get every year. But I don't know if that's actually true, considering the fact that every patch that just surprised us with different things that we didn't expect to get. Even the Legendary Obsidian Armor Tier 2 wasn't something that we were expecting until very, very late into the development of the expansion. So I'm honestly excited to see what we get that we don't know we're gonna get and just randomly appears. I think that's actually very, very cool. I need water, guys. I've been talking a lot. Okay, next one. Oh, there you go. reflecting on our past year, I'm proud that we delivered everything we set out us to do. I'm excited that we're able to turn around and do it even better the next time. Yeah, I'm hoping that we do get that. We were asking the community to trust us through a big change. Accountability establishes a foundation on trust, and that roadmap gave the community a valuable tool for holding us accountable. Yeah, I think we definitely did. Okay, yeah, for better or for worse. Coming out of End of Dragons, which was always excellent. I mean, I think, yes, some issues, but yes, it was a very, very good expansion. Probably my favorite one, personally. What was the mood both in the back of the studio, in the community, like when you started on this path? How was the dev team and the community both reached to the smaller annual expansions? And is there any desire to go back to the living world model? That's actually a very interesting question. And I will say also, it is very interesting to me what they say here, as I think everybody can say that most people were not happy with this. So it's going to be very, very, if they say that in here, it's like, yeah, maybe some people didn't really like it. I think it's a good way of knowing, hey, they do know what the community thinks. Humans are weird to resistant wired to be resistant to change, so it's no surprise that there was some skepticism for us to overcome. Yeah, some, maybe a lot. Internally, the skepticism was offset by the conviction that we were doing not only what was necessary, but what was right for both our community and our developers. But we knew there would be challenges. My ultimate goal as a game director is quite simple. I want Guild Wars 2 to thrive for a long time. Guild Wars 2 is more than a game. There's a spent the last decade establishing relationships and building communities in Tyria, and we feel a duty to help protect and preserve that. To do this, we desperately needed a content model that can satisfy our fans, allow our developers to maintain in a healthy and sustainable relationship with work, and bring some financial stability to the studio, which is definitely something they needed, considering how many big problems with that they had back in the day. They're all very closely related. Looking at the challenges that our industry has faced over the past year, and yeah, honestly, the gaming industry has gotten a few problems in that regard, and continues to face, I can't help but feel that our priorities are in the right place. It would have been very easy for us to fall into a similar trap, and I think that's actually true. They have done pretty well. Yeah, you can say like the expansions weren't the best or whatever, but the truth is the game is profitable, the game is doing well, and there's a lot of people playing them, and I do think it's good that they are, well, at least for what I say, they are committed to the game, specifically because of the whole Guild Wars 3 might replace Guild Wars 2 eventually kind of meme. Him saying that, I understand that, you can't take it as gospel, but I think it is indeed a good thing. As for fans, I think we've come a long way over the past year, but our work continues. Guild Wars 2 has seen its fair share of turbulence over the years. Yeah, it's good to hear the game director said that, because it is true. You can't really just lie to yourself, and us, of course. While developers at ArenaNet have come and gone during the time frame, the community has been there every step of the way, experiencing the effects of that turbulence themselves. And I think that's a very good point. Everybody talks about ANET did this, and ANET fucked up in like 2015 or whatever, and I get that, and it is true. But at the end of the day, the arena that we have today is not the same arena that we used to have back in the day. The people have changed, the game director has changed, the management has changed, so we can't really hold them to the same standards. It might seem like an actual good idea to do that because, well, they're the same company, but things change. And I don't think everything changes. I think we can see a lot of mistakes that ANET did back in the day that are still repeated right now, but a lot of them also have changed. Like the fact that, something like Fashion Inspect actually got into the game, even though most people a lot of people didn't like it because you were inspecting my character, and I didn't want, I didn't ask to happen to me, even though it's part of the game and it actually is a positive thing on the game. I think and ANET did it anyways, and stuck with it, even with the backlash. I think it's a good thing, and I think they are learning from their past mistakes. Easy mode, hard mode in Strikes as well is another example of that, and I'm happy, and I'm guessing that we're gonna get more of this kind of stuff as well. What did they say as well? I kind of got lost. A lot of those folks have come. Oh wait, no, here we go. No, it wasn't a surprise that there was some skepticism or an attitude of I'll believe it when I see it when that change was announced. A lot of the folks have come around the past year, and I think we'll even see some new believers after next week's announcement. I really hope so, specifically the Raiders, I guess, when we get Wing 8, guys. Yes, it's coming. I know it is. I already said it. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. coming back to the game. As for returning to the living world model, it's unlikely. We're finding success with the annual expansion format. The benefits of timely and consistent content updates, improved sustainability for the studio and our team, along with the improved support for the game's various systems and modes, has been significant. One of the most consistent criticisms that fans have had about ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 over the years is the lack of consistency. This is us fixing it. I think that's pretty fair, and I think they've done that very well. I'm happy that we moved out of the living world model. First, they were probably not getting enough money of that, considering they would have given it for free, so I don't think it's a good thing financially. And second of all, who the fuck knows what a living world is? Like, it's just way easier to say, Guild Wars 2 expansion, everybody comes in and was like, man, another expansion? Guild Wars just blasting. Way better for marketing. I think that's what they should be doing continuously. So just make the expansions better and bigger, and we'll be fine. How did player feedback to Soto play into some of the changes you'll be making for future expansions? Any game developer worth their salt, especially those working in MMOs, will agree that player feedback is one of the greatest tools we have at our disposal. We spend a lot of time sifting through it, even when it's not pleasant. And believe me, guys, there's a lot of non-pleasant criticism, guys, to figure out what all we can action on. That's a weird, okay. While time and resource constraints are always a consideration, every discipline at ArenaNet, from design to engineering, has been working to integrate that feedback into what we're delivering with Expansion 5 across story, maps, encounter systems, and more. You'll have to wait until next week if you want more details on that. I think that's completely fine. Like, I know, like, he's saying, like, more details next week. In some ways, I would wish this interview would have happened next week when they can actually talk about this kind of systems. Maybe we'll get more interviews next week when everything is announced. I would hope so. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad that they can't talk about it because it's next week's announcement, right? You mentioned in your blog post that the ambition of the team led to overly complex plots and character interactions feeling rushed. Yes! How are you going to address this feeling in future expansions? And could we see those story beats continue across annual expansion releases? It starts with a better production phase, the planning phase that happened prior to any in-engine development work. In retrospect, we should have time-boxed planning for the initial release a bit more and spent additional cycles planning the quarterly releases, the quarterly updates that were to follow. Those future releases felt like tomorrow's problem at the time. That said, there's a balance to strike when it comes to planning. You want to just do the right amount, no more, no less. Game development is part of art, part science, and the iteration cycle we go through means that even the best laid plans will change, which means wasted work. And on the other hand, too little means that you might run into unexpected and unanticipated speed bumps, or find that you don't have enough time to make a change appearance feel meaningful. To make a character appearance feel meaningful. Yeah, I mean, I think those are definitely interesting things to say, and definitely they have been a problem. I just wonder how they're gonna fix it. They do seem to be, they do seem to know what it is, and I just hope that they figured it out a bit earlier in the Soto development, so they can actually have, learn those lessons and apply those lessons into the next expansion as well. I guess it is easier to also fix them now because we do, expansion isn't out yet, so maybe some things definitely can be changed. But I think that has been a a problem that has been in Guild Wars 2 for a long time. So I'm kind of hopeful for it. It all comes down to scope, really. There are a lot of exciting stories that we can tell with their span of an expansion, and there are, of course, stories we shouldn't tell, simply because we wouldn't be able to do them justice. Yes, very important point there. And I completely agree. As where the story beats will continue across expansions, there will be some through line between each, such as with the Astral World, but we are largely intending to each annual expansion to be a self-contained story, making them an easy entry point for new players, a re-entry points for folks coming back into the game after a long break. I think that's good. I think it's fine to have a bit of a connection between the previous expansion and the new one, so it doesn't feel like it came out of nowhere, but also you have to make it their own thing, so you don't have to play the earlier expansion to actually be able to enjoy the new one. Very, very good point actually there, and I agree. And if you don't want to do that, then well, you're gonna have to make bigger expansions or longer expansions, or Despite the push to maintain and improve existing features, can players expect to look forward to new features coming with this new expansion as well? If not, is this something that is being planned further down the road? Absolutely. We have a very exciting feature in the hopper for our new expansion. I wonder what that is. I'm really happy about this one because it's allowed us to add a new way to spend your time in Tyria while affording us to afford us the opportunity to upgrade a few related systems. Adding meaningful systems while accomplishing our goal to clean up the game is the Wombo Combo. I wonder if this is some sort of currency system that brings all the currencies that we have in the game, which are a lot, kind of together, that also makes it exciting to actually play the game. Something like the Wizards Vault, but a bit different. Because I'm guessing the Wizard Vault is gonna stay. I mean, this is a daily system. You're probably only gonna be able to use it regardless of... No, of course you're gonna be able to. You already can use it, even if you don't have the expansion. So yeah, of course. But I think it's gonna be something similar to that doesn't compete with it, but kind of just adds onto it. So there's actually some people thinking that this feature we talked about, the Wombo Combo, would be player housing, which would be pretty insane. Because in my opinion, that is definitely something that Guild Wars 2 needs, and it would heavily benefit from, because hey, we got a lot of rewards, and we can put those rewards in a house that we can share with other people, and like, guys, come to see my beautiful achievements, my legendary collection right here on my wall. I think that's very, very cool. But man, that's a lot of things to put in the expansion, because like, I'm pretty certain that it's gonna be the whole thing that we're waiting for is gonna be raids, like a new raid. I think it's most likely gonna be it. But do you guys think we can get like both player housing and a new raid? That would be pretty insane. I think it would make a lot of sense. And rereading this, I'm really happy about this one because it's allowed to us to add a new way to spend your time in Tyria. Spend your time in Tyria. Well, affording us the opportunity to upgrade a few related systems, currencies, and the way that we acquire these currencies, and the way that we acquire the items from these currencies. Adding meaningful systems while accomplishing our goal to cleaning up the game is the Wombo Combo. So it could honestly be that. It would be pretty. This is something that people have been asking for a long time. I would just very, very sad. I would be very sad if we're not getting raids, but instead we're getting player housing. That'd be a bit sad. But also that at the same time could mean something like raids, right? Like, hey, we're getting a new raid, but we're also gonna fix all the currency problems with raids, and also we're gonna make it so we have an easy mode on every raid beforehand, so we're cleaning everything up. It could also mean that. It could be both. It could be none. It's hard, but yeah, people are saying that, so. Oof, we'll see what it is. I really don't know what it's gonna be. I really hope. Well, I guess we'll have to wait till next week. So expand on that a bit. I don't have anything against adding new features in Guild Wars 2. Features are cool. What I would like to avoid is adding features for the sake of adding another bullet point on the back of the box, as an industry folks like to say. Each of those features adds design and technical depth, and new constraints that you must work around for future releases. Those trade-offs are acceptable when a feature adds a lot of value to the game, but when it doesn't, it just makes future development that much harder, and it creates a point of dissatisfaction with players, specifically if that feature doesn't get the care and maintenance it needs to be a successful long-term addition to the game. That's completely true. If you keep adding features, a lot of stuff, how are you gonna maintain them? How are you gonna make them continuously meaningful even after other expansions? And being careful with this is very important, because otherwise you get what Guild Wars 2 was a few years back, when everything was just insanely bloated. And honestly, in some ways, it kind of made it super, super hard for Guild Wars 2 to come back, because a lot of those systems have to essentially be remade from scratch to make them work in the new game, right? And that is very that is a pain for the developers of Guild Wars 2 right now, and not the ones that developed those features in the first place back in the day. The new map release schedule is aimed at reducing players' fatigue on a map, I was encountered with Inner this time around, it seems. How do you ensure that content is spread across the whole of the expansion to still give players reasons to retread familiar ground while keeping it feeling fresh each time? That's a good question, because we're only gonna get 3 maps. Now, to be fair, I think most expansions had, they had more maps, but they were there was always one that was useless. Desert Highlands for Path of Fire, not Gangwar, Kanang City or Kanang. And I guess HOT was completely fun. But yeah, I mean, there's a map that always gets... So, I would rather have 3 good maps, and I really hope that the next 3 maps from this expansion are very, very good as well. Game development, especially on an MMO, moves more slowly than players probably realize. Sometimes changes we make to a process or pipeline won't pay off until for an entire year. Exclamation mark. What does that mean? Are you saying that there's one chain that we got this year gonna finally be changed, and we're gonna get fruits for that? We're gonna get fruits. We're gonna get rewards for that. We're gonna get rewarded for waiting. Maybe. As we started deploying Soto, our intention was to take the whole balanced release approach that we're taking with Expansion 5. When we released 2 maps in the initial launch, then follow with the 3rd map in the 2nd major update after launch. This would have balanced players' time over the full expansion a bit better between all the maps introduced in the expansion, rather than putting players into the final map for an extended period. Unfortunately, the production timelines and resources didn't line up for Soto in that way. That would make it possible, mostly due to the overlapping development timelines between expansions. And to be fair, that is a problem that you will always have. Right? You're gonna have like, hey, you're gonna be doing, oh, is that true? I guess they were doing Soto while at the same time doing the new expansion, which is kind of unhinged, right? That's a bit hard. And I'm guessing this time they already finished the new expansion, and now they're probably gonna start working on the later one, while also updating a few things on this expansion when we have problems. But they're not gonna be developing 2 expansions at the same time, which is very difficult to do, right? Yeah. So hopefully this will not be that much of an issue. Oh, we knew from the jump that that we wanted to fix this for Expansion 5. I guess, well, forget it. They're fixing it. I don't know how, but yeah. And recognizing this at the beginning of the Soto dev cycle gave us a year to figure out how to resolve the problem before we started production on the next expansion. Well, that's actually very good. That's very good. That's very exciting. That's very, I have confidence in that statement. Expansion 5 maps will see a rollout similar to maps like VR Marchers or Drizzlewood Coast. Additions that were well received at the time and still see a lot of places today. I wonder if we're gonna get some like jumping puzzles, some like little mini dungeons that, for example, we got in Diora, some adventures. That would be very cool. I really hope that every one of those patches become very, very well played, and people really like them. Actually, because of the way that they're doing with adventures, I think they probably, well, we'll see, but I'm guessing they're gonna put a lot of the effort in the first release in terms of how much map we get, and the second one is probably only gonna be a meta, but also a bit more stuff as well, and adventures for every one of the maps. And because it's only gonna be 2 releases, it's gonna feel way bigger. One of the started goals of this expansion cycle was to allow for a better work-life balance at the development team. How did that fare during the Soto cycle? And are there ways you're looking to improve upon that goal even further? We've seen a lot of improvement, especially compared to the dev cycle surrounding Living World, Icebreaker Saga, and even End of Dragons. That said, there's always room for improvement. Work culture isn't something you fix and move on from. It takes constant focus and attention. And it's very easy to fall back to bad habits. And it's not just about regional workloads and a 40-hour work week. It's about building an environment that allows employees to thrive professionally and personally. That is actually very true. That challenges them and gives them space to grow their knowledge and skills. Ultimately, our goal is to create a sustainable work environment that keeps our developers passionate and energized. By doing so, we not only improve the well-being of our team, but also ensure that we can continue to deliver the high-quality content that our players expect and love. It's a very symbiotic relationship. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's nice. Very, very cool post. A lot of information here. And it honestly gives me a good amount of faith to what we're going to get next week. I hope we get more. I do hope we get more stuff like this. It's very, very interesting. Hopefully next week as well to talk about the specifics of this expansion. I think we got that from Soto, so I'm guessing we are, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm very excited for it. There's a lot of exciting things, I think, happening here. So, definitely tell me what you guys think about what was said here. Tell me if I missed anything. Tell me if you disagree with anything. And definitely go to my Twitch to watch me live, and go to my Discord to just chill out. And go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye.